As we continue this Sunday morning, you know, the weekend summer storms impacted thousands of flights across the country last weekend. Those storms came at a pivotal moment on the travel front in this country because travel is starting to raise back to pre-pandemic levels. However, there's a problem here. Staff shortages and pilot shortages, as well as some unruly passengers, are causing some big concerns across the airline industry. This week, the airline industry itself asked the Justice Department to commit to prosecuting violent behavior amongst passengers. So what do travelers need to know before they get back onto a flight? Steve Caroli is back with us live this Sunday morning. He's the former acting assistant director of the TSA and the executive vice president of K2 Security. Steve, good to see you once again. Let's start with these staffing shortages. We know American Airlines in particular ran into some problems because they apparently scheduled some flights that they didn't have the staff to deal with, and then ultimately had to cancel a lot of this. Who's to blame for this? Is it the airlines or is it the passengers who, went rushing back with this offer of flight availability?
Well, good morning, Tom, and thanks for having me again. I don't think there's the blame isn't really focused on the airlines or the passengers in reality. So like anything else, there are many employers looking for folks to actually staff their positions. Airlines are just the same as doing that. They can bring people on, but there's still a training process and a hiring process that they have to go through. For example, TSA, they have a 90-day process for hiring. They have to go through assessments, interviews, background checks, that kind of thing. As well as once they're hired, they have to get trained. There's a training process that's anywhere from 1 month to 2 months, from structured training to on-the-job training. So it takes some time. So I wouldn't throw the blame on anybody. I think people are excited to go travel. I think it's just stressful, as you can imagine. A lot of folks haven't traveled in over a year. They're seeing new things, and obviously they're very stressed when there's lines.
Steve, how closely do the airlines and the TSA coordinate as far as what TSA should expect coming through their security checkpoints? If the airlines are adding all these flights and TSA isn't able to keep up with them, because we now know that there is a shortage of people at the TSA to screen this, doesn't that create some kind of disparity between what the airlines are offering and what TSA is able to deal with as far as its screening capacity?
Well, that's a good question, Tom, and I will tell you the airlines and TSA coordinate this very well. They've done it for obviously from the start. They have projections of what's going on a couple months in advance. They get them updated weeks in advance, and obviously in a couple, like 24 hours to 48 hours, they know exactly how many people will be coming through, we'll say that checkpoint, because of the flights. So it's very much coordinated. I will tell you, TSA can also, they have other tools in their toolbox other than the employees. They have overtime. They can make sure that those lanes are filled, and so that people can get through them as quick as they can.
All right, Steve Caroli is the vice president of K2 Security. It's an important issue these days right now, especially when we're hearing all these reports, Steve, of violence on the planes. We're going to have you come back a little bit later on as we get through the summer and see how things go. We would love to continue this conversation about that in the future. Steve Caroli, this
sounds great. Thanks, Tom.